Spirit Guardian, The Rise of Zolani. Prologue. In the heart of South Africa, amidst the rugged landscapes of the Drakensberg Mountains, lies the ancient village of Umzimbuvu. This village is rich with the heritage and traditions of the Zulu people, a place where the line between the physical world and the spiritual realm is as thin as a reed. Chapter 1. The Calling. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the rolling hills and rugged landscapes of the Drakensberg Mountains. In the village of Umzimbuvu, the day's activities wound down, and the villagers gathered around their fires, sharing stories and laughter. Among them was Zolani Ndlovu, an 18-year-old with a kind heart and an adventurous spirit. Zolani lived with his grandmother, Gogo Turndeka, a wise and respected Sangoma. The small thatched roof house they called home was filled with the scent of burning herbs and the soft murmur of Gogo Turndeka's prayers. Zolani adored his grandmother and often helped her gather medicinal plants and prepare remedies for the villagers. On this particular evening, after a hearty dinner of maize, porridge, and grilled meat, Zolani felt an unusual weariness. Bidding his grandmother good night, he retired to his small room, its walls adorned with vibrant Zulu tapestries and traditional artifacts. As he drifted into sleep, he couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to happen. Zolani's sleep was deep and dreamless at first, but soon he found himself standing in an unfamiliar forest. The air was thick with mist, and the only sound was the rustling of leaves. He looked around, bewildered, when a sudden, bright light caught his eye. Emerging from the light was a tall, regal figure clad in traditional Zulu warrior attire. His presence was both intimidating and awe-inspiring. "Zolani," the figure spoke, his voice echoing like thunder. "Do you know who I am?" Zolani's heart raced. I don't," he stammered. "I am Shaka Zulu, the great king of our people," the figure announced. "You are my descendant, and you have been chosen by the ancestors to protect our land and people from an impending darkness." Before Zolani could respond, the vision faded, and he awoke with a start. His room was dark, save for the moonlight streaming through the window. He sat up, his heart pounding, and the weight of the dream pressing down on him. He knew he had to speak to Gogo Turndeka. Quietly, Zolani crept into the main room where Gogo Turndeka sat, her eyes closed in meditation. She sensed his presence and opened her eyes, a knowing look on her face. "Zolani, my child, what troubles you?" she asked gently. "I had a dream, Gogo," he began, his voice shaking. "I saw Shaka Zulu. He told me I am chosen to protect our land and people. He spoke of powers and ancestors." Gogo Turndeka nodded solemnly. "It is as I feared. The time has come," she said, rising to her feet. "Come with me, Zolani." They left the house and walked under the starlit sky to a hidden cave at the edge of the village. The entrance was covered with thick vines, which Gogo Turndeka moved aside with practiced ease. Inside, the cave walls were adorned with ancient Zulu symbols and paintings, telling stories of past heroes and battles. At the heart of the cave stood an altar with a sacred Zulu spear and various artifacts. Gogo Turndeka began to chant, her voice low and melodic, calling upon the spirits of their ancestors. The air grew thick with energy, and Zolani felt a tingling sensation coursing through his body. "Stand here, Zolani," Gogo Turndeka instructed, pointing to a spot before the altar. "The ancestors have chosen you, and you must accept their gift." As Zolani stood, Gogo Turndeka continued her chant, and a soft glow emanated from the artifacts. Zolani felt his body lifting, his senses heightened. He heard whispers, felt the presence of his ancestors. The spear on the altar glowed brighter, and a beam of light shot towards Zolani, enveloping him. Images flashed before his eyes, ancient battles, Healers tending to the wounded, the elemental forces of nature bending to the will of great warriors. He felt the strength of 1,000 ancestors coursing through his veins. When the light finally subsided, Zolani stood transformed, feeling a power he had never known. "Welcome, Spirit Guardian," Gogo Turndeka said, her eyes filled with pride and a hint of sadness. "Your journey has just begun." Zolani looked at his hands, still glowing faintly with the energy of the ritual. "What must I do now, Gogo?" "You must learn to harness your powers, connect with the spirits, and prepare for the challenges ahead," she replied. "The darkness that Shaka Zulu spoke of is real, and you are our hope." As they left the cave, the weight of his new responsibility settled on Zolani's shoulders. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but with the guidance of his ancestors and the love of his grandmother, he felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. The Spirit Guardian had awakened. End scene.